Hey everybody, this is Deb with Truthification Chronicles, and I told you I would have a second one out on Sunday because I just had so much, it was too much to put in one. Anyway, well, we've got this right here, which is a tweet that I shared in a previous video, and I said I really don't know where he's getting this from, so I can't speak to its veracity, although he's a fairly reliable source. So he says Devin Nunes found a loophole in the House rules that will allow Republicans to hold a separate hearing and call witnesses. And so he suggests that the Republicans subpoena these people, which I think would be good people to do. Well, anyway, later on down, he gives, because people said have not heard source, and so they were asking for it. Well, here's the source, and it's a photo, so it's a little harder to see. But before I do that, I want to show you this, because this is a letter to Adam Schiff from Devin Nunes, dated November 20th. And essentially he says, you know what, you said it was going to be fair. It's not fair. And we need this whistleblower because his testimony is necessary for a full and fair understanding of all relevant facts. And then it goes down here and says, we also need to hear from Hunter Biden. And so it gives all the reasons why we need to hear from those people and they should be subpoenaed. So then he gives these other items that he would like to have subpoenaed, because remember, that's what this HR 660, the rule that they, voted on, was to put in place. And this is how he had to do it in order for them to say, yeah, okay, you can request that we subpoena anybody or any documents, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. So anyway, these three things are pretty much the whistleblower and all the documents there, Rosemont Seneca Bohai LLC, which was Hunter Biden's company, and documents relating to that, and then the DNC and communications with the Ukrainian government officials and records relating to Alexander Chalupa, of course. And he puts it down here that this is for the House Resolution 660, which is supposed to be governing this, but it basically says Adam Schiff gets to do everything. And so, yeah, talked about that one in the King Adam video. So that was the preliminary. And then there's the actual document here that he sent on the 21st. So a day later. And here is what it looks like. It's pretty short, which is probably a good thing because I've been reading a lot of documents lately and my voice is probably going to go out. So here it is, November 21st, and it's to Adam Schiff. And he says, Dear Mr. Chairman, on September 24th, 2019, Nancy Pelosi unilaterally, said that it was all going to be fair, and you have repeatedly prevented Republicans from fully and fairly examining issues central to the Democrats' impeachment inquiry. Therefore, pursuant to House Rule 11, Clause 2J1, we, the undersigned Republican members of the Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, exercise our right to convene a hearing with witnesses selected by the minority to testify in the Democrats' quote, impeachment inquiry. So, you see, they made this little House resolution, but they forgot that one of the House rules trumps that resolution. So, anyway, House Rule 11, Clause 1A states that the rules of the House are the rules of its committees and subcommittees so far as applicable. House Rule 11, Clause 2J1 provides that, quote, the minority members of the committee shall be entitled, upon request to the chair by a majority of them, before the completion of the hearing, to call witnesses selected by the minority to testify. So, yep, that's what he did. Notably, this rule was not displaced by the House Resolution 660, and therefore, under House Rule 11, Clause 1A, it applies to the Democrats' quote, impeachment inquiry. As the committee continues to conduct the Democrats' partisan and one-sided, quote, impeachment inquiry, there are still important perspectives and serious issues that you have prevented the committee from examining. We will inform you of the witnesses we intend to call once you have provided a hearing date and time to which we agree. Your failure to schedule this hearing shall constitute evidence of your denial of fundamental fairness and due process. So will this be all? And that is all of it, by the way. It's just a one-pager here. So will this be the end of it? Likely not. I doubt if they will do this, but According to the rule, they're supposed to. The minority cannot be stripped of its power just because it's the minority. And so, this is what's going on in our country right now. What I think is probably going to happen, if you heard Trump on the Fox and Friends interview just this past week, he would like it to go to the Senate. Well, he didn't really mean he wanted it to go to the Senate, because they did clarify it after that. It's not that he wants to be impeached or that he wants them to have this trial in the Senate, but he knows that when it goes to the Senate, that all of the evidence is in the hands of the Republicans. The Democrats have no evidence. There's nothing, because he's not guilty of anything. And so they will have to make things up. The problem is, in the Senate, they will have to abide by real court rules, which means they won't be able to make things up or use hearsay or any of those tactics they've been relying on for so far. Now, I also want to point out that when it gets into the Senate, which is very important, we will have the majority there. And that was why in 2018, it was vital that we had the Senate. That was the true necessary target to get. The House would have been nice. And if we would have gotten the House, it probably would have fast-tracked all of this, because all of this information, the truth would have really come out. But I think probably that President Trump, along with those who are working with him, as in the 17th letter of the alphabet, they knew that the country needs to have a unifying investigation, not something that separates us. Well, the problem is, when you are only getting one side of the story, then you're not having true unity. And half of the country is going to feel like the other half is lying. That's the way it's going to end up. And we know that some people are lying because, I've read a lot of the government documents. I've seen what's really going on. And I know that when you hold that up to what I see on TV, it's just not the same. I have that understanding, but not everybody does. And, probably if you're listening to me, you have that understanding too. But a lot of people don't. And all they get is what's on the mainstream TV. That's what they hear. And so they don't have that understanding of the full picture. If this goes to the trial in the Senate, then we are faced with an open hearing, an open trial, and it's going to be according to real court rules, which means no hearsay, and so they will have to produce real evidence. And when people see actual evidence, then it's going to turn the table. And I think that's what it's going to take probably to unify the American people. Because Rudy Giuliani, if you watch that video, Rudy Giuliani has some very good, solid evidence. He has documents, he has recordings, he has pretty much everything that's needed to prosecute this case. Because he's a prosecutor and he's used to prosecuting crime, and not just basic crime. He's used to prosecuting mafia crime. Okay, that's who he works with. Corruption is his specialty. And so that's why he was chosen to do this. And so when it gets into the Senate, then people will have the truth given to them. And some people will be seeing the truth for the very first time. It's going to be hard for them to understand. It's going to be hard for them to accept, because they have heard the lies for so long. And when you hear lies for such a long time, it's very hard to break through that. It's a type of mind control, actually. And, when people are involved in religious cults, there's a mind control thing that goes on, a brainwashing that happens. And to break that hold, it's really difficult. And it's something that takes a lot of time and effort and consistent effort to break through the lies that have been told to them over time. And so with this, when it goes to the Senate, which I do think it probably will, just because the Democrats are desperate. Because if he gets back in, they're all gone, and they know they're all gone. But I think probably they're going to be gone before then because of the information that Rudy's going to be putting out. I don't know that there will be very many left in the Democrat Party after this. So I do think that's going to happen. I think everyone, if it goes to the trial in the Senate, I think people are going to be glued to their TV, because I think it's going to be a lot more interesting than what we watched this past week. So Anyway, I also want to tie in Justice Ginsburg here, because if she is out of the game, then this is going to be a huge game changer too, because, well, there's some issues in the Supreme Court. And I'm going to make you wait until Monday's video to see that one, because honestly, folks, I just can't put it all into one video. They would end up being humongously long, and my voice would go out on me probably in that length. That's something that's going to be an issue that I will talk about on Monday. Not her specifically, but the issues with the Supreme Court and all of this that's going on right now. So anyway, that's what I've got for you on this one. I want to thank you for stopping by, and I'll see y'all later.